Okay, so the backstory here is that earlier we started on an application and we were silly enough that we didn't put it in a repository because we were just like screaming through it. So anytime you start a project, you just do git init, and that creates this .git directory and this git config. And the next thing that you want to do is create a git ignore. And then you want to ignore files like vim leaves these files that are dot something dot sw something as backup files, and so you don't want those. Like a lot of text editors will leave files that end in a tilde as backup files. You don't want to commit those. And then like for us, we don't want to commit any HTML. We don't want to commit any CSS. And we don't want to commit anything that starts with pack manage. And then we don't want to commit node modules. We don't want to commit the public directory. Because when you do git,
create that.
yeah, because we create it, but we create it from the code, right? So then when you do git status, let me just go ahead and move this real quick. So I'm going to move this from git ignore to just something else. I'll just call it git ignore without the dot, and then do git status again. Okay, and so now you see like public shows up, and then if let's say I had another file open. Oh, this is terrible. Stop that. I need to like tell this profile to just open up my things bigger. Anyway, so let's say I go in here and I were to add like browser source. I want to add .less and .jade, and I want to add the package.json. Okay. So I'll do git status over here again. Alright, so now you can see the files that it's tracking here versus the file that it's not tracking in. Actually, real quick, let's see, git auto color. I don't know why this isn't done by default. Let's see if this has reasonable defaults. Yes, there we go. Ha, much nicer now. Cool. So these are the files that are going to be committed. These are the files that are not going to be committed. And then if I go over here and I open up index.jade, you'll see, let me just make a change of some sort. Then you'll see over here that it creates this temporary file, .swp. And so other applications do things like that as well. So there's all these things that you don't want to get into your repository because they're things that happen because of your editor or because you're building. So name that back to git ignore, do git status again. And so it cuts down the list a bit. And then we do want to add lib. Yep, want to add both of those. Want to add.
Remake the change.
What do you mean remake the change?
Undo the change that you did in Vim on the other tab.
Oh yeah, that. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
But that wasn't saved anyway.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you're right. And then. Oh, and I've been working without syntax highlighting. How sad. Yeah, because generally you can take anything, like if you're using TextMate or Vim or whatever, you can just do like Vim, Jade, syntax, and it'll most likely be found on GitHub. So there we are right there. on GitHub, and then it's usually like 2 or 3 lines that you copy, and it just goes. If they only show you this git clone line, or they don't tell you how to install pathogen, well, here he's got a link to it. But almost all these plugins require pathogen to be installed in Vim, and then there's just this bundled directory, and you just git clone into it, and then when you've got things like this, and I'll cd dash to go back to where I was. Now when I open this file back up again that I was working on before, bam.
Cool.
Now it's all colored, and then like if I were to make something that's a bad syntax change, then the color gets weird, so kind of helps. And some of them are smarter than others. Like it'd be interesting just to try to see if they have Vim Jade Syntastic. Meh, whatever. Anyway, but the Syntastic plugins actually like highlight things in red when they're syntax errors and whatnot. So other things I want to ignore here. We don't want to commit our database files. So db.json star, we don't want that.
Because that's also created in.
Well, yeah, because like that's not part of the application. That's data the application produces.
Sure. Okay.
And then we got this error log here from npm. Well, first let me add server. What's good in server that we want? We want everything in lib. And we want package JSON. And node modules should already be ignored, so it shouldn't bug us about that. In the browser, we do want to add the style sheet. And also we want to add the tabs for the browser stuff. So I've made changes to git ignore. I need to add that again. Actually, first I should have edited it. Because every once in a while you get these npm debug logs. Because something was wrong with the npm command. So yeah. So anyway, so I say I want to ignore all those things, and then when I do git status, I should either see that there's no changes to commit, or everything should be in green, and that I'm about to commit. And then maybe I'll have like some temporary files that I was working on that I don't actually planned on committing. Just something I wanted to test out or whatever might be dangling there. So anyway, recap, I did git init, that made this into a Git repository, and that puts the .git directory there. I created a .git ignore so that it would ignore files that are part of the build process or part of the editing process or part of the debug process, things that don't belong with the application itself. And then I just do a commit and say, well, here's my initial commit. And then in other cases, like I try to keep my commits pretty small. So like I fix a specific problem and then I do a git commit. And then if I'm on GitHub, then just doing something like this, all you actually have to do is put the £sign and then like the issue number. So say this commit is to fix issue number 12. Actually, I'll go ahead and do this. I will go ahead and create this project on GitHub. And so I'm going to go, all right, I'm on my page here. Great. So I've got this new repository button. I click on that, and I'm going to call this Brian Awesome App. And then what was the description that we used for that before? It was in the package.json here. Oh, oops, that's under the server. A demo for Brian so he can learn. Yeah, so I'll just use the same description that I used there. Boom. This is public. I'm not going to initialize it with a Readme because I've already started stuff down that. Well, I guess I don't have a Readme. I need to put one in there too. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and command click here to open issues up in another tab. And I'm going to do issue nothing is committed yet. No. Started coding before creating repo. Gotta stop doing that. Needs to be tracked with git now ASAP or ASIPy or whatever it is I'm going to write. Okay, oops, and then I hit some command key that just locked my keyboard. Okay, there we go. So there's an issue. Another issue with this is I don't have a Readme. So, no Readme. Sad panda. Very sad panda indeed. And you'll see a lot of this stuff actually. How does it go? Is it like this? I think it's exclamation, brackets, sad panda. That. Yes, good. So now I'm going to fix the first issue. So let me see what that issue number was. I'm assuming they start at 1. Okay, they're not 0 indexing their arrays. So I would just put here issue number 1. And again, all I need to do is put #1. I don't even need to put the issue there. I just like to do that because it makes it more clear when I look at my log.
Sure.
Initial commit because I forgot to, yeah, whatever. And, oh, look, I made a typo, spelling mistake, wordo, moutho, yes, all of the above. So I actually want to amend that commit message and fix my typo. And then it's complaining here with the yellow syntax that this just was too long. So I'll go ahead and fix that too, because it doesn't like you to have your first line. The way that Git is supposed to be, according to the masters, is that you have a very short first line describing it, and then you can have like a paragraph or a bulleted list or something 2 lines below, so you leave an empty line. And then there's a lot of editors for Git that will appropriately put that as the subject, and then this is the description. Because I forgot to create my repo before I started coding. Bad me. Okay, so now I fixed my spelling mistake. If I do git log, I can see the commit message. Right? But now, back here, back on this page that I left to open up an issue, I still need to add the remote, this GitHub remote. So I already am in my directory where my repository is, where I did git init. So like here, it just goes through the steps. Like if we hadn't, this is what we should have done. Like when we first started coding, we should have created a repository that was a Git repository first, put a README in there with our intent, because that's just good practice. But we started coding first because we're morons. And so we already have our repo, so this is the direction that we follow in this case. So origin is the name that we're giving it. Like we could put pizza here. It doesn't matter what we put. But origin is just the convention. That means like the master repository kind of. Master is used as a name for branches. But Git's a peer-to-peer system. So origin is like the repository. And then a lot of people will add like an upstream if they're forking. Their origin is like their repository, but then upstream is the person that they would submit patches to. So if you and I were working on this project together, then like maybe I'm the owner and maybe you would have your fork. And so you would have an upstream that goes to me and you would pull from upstream. Anyway, so I go ahead and add that, and then you git push origin, this guy right here, -u, because somehow -u means track, master. So I'm kind of simultaneously creating my master branch here and remotely. So I go ahead and push, and bada bing, bada boom. Now that I'm done, I click continue. It's just refreshing the page is all it's doing. And now I see in the commit message that it ties back to the issue. And so now these two are linked. And that's kind of cool. As you fix issues and you tag them somehow in your commit, it keeps track of it for you, and then yeah, it's just kind of fun. So now I'm going to go ahead and add a README to our project. This is a simple Node.js project I created to teach Brian about Node.js and Git and GitHub and all the things. And Markdown, that's a first level heading. This is a second level heading. This is a third level heading. This is also a second. This is also a first, but they're maybe not used as much. So this heading 3, and it goes down to heading 6, and then like paragraphs, if you no space, no paragraph, space equals paragraph.
Okay.
And then there's like bullets and yada yada. So I mean, it's basically the exact same way that you'd write an email.
Okay.
Not a lot of fancy stuff. And if you wanted to, you could like, for tables and stuff that Markdown doesn't support, you can actually put HTML in there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to do that, then use something like restructured text or Jade, which is meant for that kind of thing. Because Markdown is really good for simple documentation, but it's kind of limited in its applications. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and add the README. Closing issue number 2 about not having a README. And I do git push. And shabam, refresh. And then the README appears right here. So in every directory, it's not a bad idea to have a README, because every directory that has a README, it'll show the README down below. Make sense? Any questions?
Yeah, so I want to see if I fork it. Because if I fork it, it's just downloading everything.
Yeah, so when you fork, when you click this button here to fork on your account, like, well, you can, first, you have to go to my page because that's where it is, but you log in as you. And then, yeah, you just search Brian Awesome App. And then you see it in the list, maybe. It might take a minute for it to actually appear because, you know, like their database has to update and stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, so if you go to my page /CoolAge86, you'll see that I've got on my GitHub wall, or stream, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so yeah, I see it. So I just go to fork to.
Yeah. And then I think you're a member of our organization, so did it ask you like whether you wanted to fork to Spotter RF, or if you wanted to fork to...
It said Bliff, or I'll just create it.
Yeah. Yeah, so then you pick your personal account or your organization you want it to go to. And so now you have a copy of it. If you git clone that copy, so if you git clone this where it has SSH here, that means you have read-write access. But when you're visiting something that you don't have ownership to, let me just go over there and, oh look, you just forked me.
So all I have to do is open up.
Maybe there's something that, whoops, I don't want SQLite 2, I'm at 3. So you copy that, you do git clone, and then you copy that.
Okay.
So, but I'm just going to go here real quick. Okay, I already have a fork of this one. So if I click that, it takes me my fork. Let's see one I don't have a fork of. Okay, so yeah. And then notice that you only have 2 options here when you don't have a fork of it. They're both read-only. I tend to like using the git one just because I like it looks cuter with the git in front. But yeah, so in either case, no matter what you choose, I'm just going to go back to my code directory here, git clone, and I just paste that in, and then shabam, it gets all the things.
Cool.
And so then what I would do in this case is I would actually do git remote rename origin upstream, and then I would fork this and then now I have a read write. And this one I'm going to do git remote add origin. So the origin is the one that I have read write access on, and upstream is the one that I want to pull from. So this project, say that this guy updates it, then I would do git pull upstream master. And if he had made any updates, then I would get them right now.
Cool.
Right? But then when I do push, I'm going to git push origin master.
Oh, okay.
And
So
then
you push to your repository.
Yeah, and so then I'm just going to do test file, right? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to add this, and I'm going to commit it, added a test file, and I push it. This has never had the origin-u master. So, yeah, I need to do git push origin-u master so that it links it. So next time I do git push, it knows where I want to push to. Cool. All right, so now that's linked together, and all this stuff is in .git config. So you can see that that's why it's called upstream. This is what upstream refers to. This is what is my local branch master versus remote branches. So git branch -a will show me all possible branches I could get. And so I see there's one on origin and there's several on remote. Anyway, so I actually pushed that change. So now on GitHub, if I refresh here, actually I did a bad thing, so I'm going to correct it real quick. Git branch added test file. This is the proper way to do patches to people. And I'm going to check out added test file, because you shouldn't commit to master when you're going to submit it as a possible patch to somebody else.
Right.
I'm forgetting the word. Pull request. That's what it's called.
Okay.
So I would actually check out my new branch first. Then I would create my test file. And I already created it actually. Then I would do git push origin added test file with the -u also. So then I'm back here, and let's see, I'm going to need to refresh this. So I've got the branch added test file, and then the only thing that's different about that from the other branch is the test file here. So I will select to create a pull request from this branch. So I selected the branch first, then I did the test file. Please ignore this, just teaching a friend how to use GitHub. Thanks. Oops. So then I do submit pull request, and now this poor unfortunate soul, whoever he is,
gets this message.
Yeah, so now an email was just sent to him that says, hey, Kool-Aid86 just patched SQLite Ruby. And he's going to open up that email and he's going to be like, ooh, maybe it's a very important bug fix. And then he's going to see, what a douchebag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to his repository, and that put a pull request in for me right here. And so since I created this pull request, I can close it even though it's in his repository. So I'm going to say, this was just a test. Sorry for bothering you. Hopefully you didn't get too excited about the request. Sad panda. No, I won't do that this time. So yeah, then I close and comment, and it's done. But normally, what we would hope would happen is that he would look at it. He'd say, "Oh, this is really valuable. We need this," and then he'd pull it in, right?
Cool.
So
Yeah.
you could do that with me.
Right.
Any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
All right, then I'm going to go ahead and go back to my fork of this and then just delete it because I don't even know that I'd ever use it. No, undo. Oh no. Name of repository. SQLite 3 Readme. Shebang. Okay. So yeah, that's the basics of. You've got code. You get init. You create an ignore file. You create the repository on GitHub, or you create it there first if you're smarter.
Right.
And then you push it, and you're good.
Cool.
The end.
Mm-hmm.